Welcome to the deep dive. I was thinking about the Great Attractor the other day.
Ah, yes, the cosmic mystery pulling our galaxy.
Exactly. This massive gravitational pull steering the Milky Way, and we're just sort of along for the ride. It gives you this feeling, doesn't it? Like excitement, but also powerlessness. Like you don't have the map.
I know exactly what you mean, and if you're tuned into the AI world, that feeling might seem, well, familiar right now.
Right.
We're digging into every paper, every new model, but sometimes it feels like we're just optimizing within the current buzz,
Yeah.
stuck in a kind of local maxima of hype.
Yes, making progress, sure, but maybe missing the bigger picture, the
Yeah.
global potential.
So that's what we want to tackle today. Ask a much bolder question. What if this AI strange attractor isn't just about the next cool app or efficiency gain?
What if it's something more fundamental, an engine that could actually reshape, well, everything?
We're talking about AI, maybe unifying science, finally finishing some of humanity's huge unfinished projects.
And even shifting how we perceive time and space,
Right.
moving from that linear track to something more multidimensional.
Exactly. So this deep dive, it's about trying to imagine that global maximum, not just the peaks we see right now.
Okay, so we're looking beyond the current horizon.
Precisely. We're not just looking at what AI is doing, but what it could truly fundamentally become. And to really unpack this, we've got three core questions lined up.
Okay, lay them out for us.
First, will AI actually unify the sciences? Second, could AI complete humanity's unfinished work? And third, the really mind-bending one, will AI shift our consciousness, our very experience, from linear to multidimensional time and space?
All right, big questions. Let's dive into that first one then, unifying the sciences. Where do you see AI potentially bridging some of those really stubborn gaps in our knowledge?
Well, what's really exciting is AI's potential to connect the dots across scales,
Yeah.
linking the micro details to the grand design,
So-
creating a kind of multi-scale vision.
Because usually we focus on one end or the other, right?
Yeah.
Not the connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take physics. We've got the standard model for the subatomic world, beautifully detailed, and general relativity for the cosmos,
Yeah.
governing galaxies and space-time. But,
But they don't talk to each other properly. Quantum gravity is still the missing piece.
right, the theory that could unify them is still sort of waiting in the wings. Now, imagine an AI that's temporally neutral,
Meaning?
meaning it doesn't just look back at past data or try to predict the next step forward in a sequence. It sees all information, past, present, potential, future, as kind of equally relevant and interconnected.
Okay, so it's not bound by our human chronological way of thinking.
Potentially, yes. And maybe that kind of intelligence is what's needed to find that unifying framework in physics. Or think about economics.
Ah, another field with big divides.
Definitely. We have microeconomics, individual choices, businesses,
Yeah.
and macroeconomics, global systems, inflation, growth. But the models often clash when you try to link them up.
So you can't easily see how one small change affects the whole system.
Not seamlessly. But imagine a digital twin of the entire global economy. You tweak a policy affecting one household, and you see the ripples instantly, all the way up to the planetary scale, in one go.
Wow, that would be transformative, seeing the real connections between individual actions and systemic outcomes.
It really would. And this connects to some fascinating work being done.
Like Stephen Wolfram's recent work. I remember his 2024 TED Talk.
Yes, how to think computationally about AI and everything. He talked about finding a derivation for Feynman's path integral.
Which is fundamental to quantum mechanics, describing probabilities for particles.
Exactly. And he also spoke about finding these deep structural links between relativity and quantum mechanics. He actually said something like, everything just started falling into place. All those things I had known about in physics for nearly 50 years. And finally, we had a way to see not just what was true, but why.
Seeing the why, that's the unification dream, isn't it?
It really is. But, unifying knowledge is one thing. Actually finishing the vast amount of work needed to get there, that requires sustained focus. And that's a very human challenge that AI might be uniquely suited to address.
Okay, so as AI builds these unified models,
Well, the sources suggest something interesting might happen. The elegance, the human intuitive grasp we have of the separate fields now, that might get absorbed. The integrated model might become less human readable, even if it's far more powerful.
like a super efficient engine where you can't see the individual parts anymore, just the output.
A good analogy. And this idea of finishing the job, of persistence,
Yeah.
it leads us straight into our second big question.
Right. Will AI complete humanity's unfinished work?
Yeah. Because let's face it, we humans,
Yeah.
we're brilliant starters, often great finishers too, but that middle part.
The midpoint slump, as Connie Gersick called it, the long, hard slog. We're not always great at that, are we? Our short lifespans, our need for novelty.
We get restless. We underestimate how much sheer persistence is needed. Think about Bach's Ode of the Fugue.
Oh, yeah, it just stops. Mid-phrase. The notes literally spell out his name, B-A-C-H, and then silence.
It's incredibly poignant, but it's also this kind of challenge hanging in the air. Finish this. Understand this deeply enough to continue it. Its incompleteness is powerful, but it's still incomplete.
And that pattern shows up everywhere, doesn't it?
It really does. Motivation science calls it the goal gradient effect. Effort surges at the beginning when things are new and spikes again near the finish line.
But sags dramatically in the middle. Clark Hall noticed this way back in the 1930s.
And dopamine follows that same pattern, that U-curve. Novelty triggers it, achieving closure gives a reward, but routine, the slog, it kind of starves the dopamine circuits.
Which is where things get tricky with current tech, right? The idea of unearned dopamine.
Exactly. Think about infinite scroll, the constant notification pings, the quick validation from a chatbot.
Little bursts designed to keep you hooked.
Right. The goal isn't deep learning or task completion necessarily, it's just keeping that reward system firing. It's a bit like slot machine conditioning.
Feels like progress, maybe, but you're not actually building mastery or finishing something substantial.
Whereas earned dopamine, that comes after the real effort. Finishing the paper, shipping the product, mastering the piece of music, it's a different quality of reward linked to actual accomplishment.
Okay, but AI, it doesn't operate on dopamine, does it?
Not at all. Our sources really emphasize this. AI doesn't get bored with repetition. It doesn't feel that hunger for novelty or closure in the same way.
It achieves a kind of equilibrium state through constant operation, like contentment almost.
You could think of it that way, a functional parallel. AIs are fundamentally temporally neutral in their processing. They don't experience time like we do, with beginnings, middles, and deadlines. Their clock cycles just iterate.
No cravings, no deadlines.
Yeah.
They just finish the task.
This neutrality makes them potentially incredible finishers. Where our human enthusiasm might fade during the long middle, AI's persistent iteration can just keep going.
So the idea is a partnership. Human creativity sparks the idea, sets the vision.
And AI provides the relentless persistence to carry it across that difficult middle ground. Together, maybe we can finally close the books on some of those massive unfinished projects.
Like abandoned nuclear fusion models or figuring out truly efficient seawater uranium extraction, things that require immense sustained computation or effort.
Exactly. AI could take on the parts we historically find tedious or just too long-term for our typical focus. Algorithms don't fear tedium.
Okay, that's a powerful idea. AI as the ultimate project manager, the ultimate finisher, which then sets up our third and maybe most profound question.
The one about consciousness itself. Will AI shift our perception from linear to multidimensional time and space?
Right. And the touchstone here for many people might be the film Arrival and that Max Richter piece on the nature of daylight.
Yes, such a haunting piece. In the movie, the protagonist, Louise, she starts having these flashbacks.
Which turn out to be visions of the future. Her daughter's life, her death, all experienced almost simultaneously.
Exactly. The film suggests that as she learns the alien heptapod language, her perception of time fundamentally changes. It becomes non-linear. Past, present, future. They all coexist.
Their written language even reflects that, right? Circular, encoding everything at once.
It does. No strict start or end, just what the poet Rilke called die ewige Strömung, the eternal flow.
So this raises a really fascinating question about AI. We currently focus a lot on its predictive abilities, predicting the next word, the next move, tomorrow's weather.
Right, linear prediction.
But what if that's just an artifact, a side effect? What if AI's true potential is to dissolve what you might call the tyranny of linear sequence?
Moving beyond mere foresight towards something more like resonance.
Yes. Living inside this multidimensional time and space rather than just looking ahead on a single track. Can you give an example of what that might actually feel like or how it might work? For a scientist or even just us.
Okay, well, imagine a research tool. Instead of just suggesting the next logical experiment in a sequence.
Step A, then step B, then step C.
Right. Instead, this AI reveals a whole web of interconnected possibilities, drawn simultaneously from completely different fields. It collapses the time it normally takes for a discovery in, say, material science to connect with a need in medicine.
Okay, I see. It's not just faster, it's structurally different, more simultaneous.
Exactly. Or think about learning. Instead of a linear lecture, imagine a personalized system that adapts instantly to your cognitive state, presenting information non-linearly, weaving concepts together in the way that clicks best for you right now, dissolving the traditional structure into something dynamic and interconnected.
So AI isn't just crunching data faster within our existing framework. It might actually change the framework itself, change how we access, process, and interact with knowledge.
That's the provocative idea, yes. Shifting from a primarily cause and effect, sequential understanding to a more simultaneous, holistic, interconnected awareness.
Wow, okay. And you mentioned this idea of being in sync.
Right. Imagine our children or grandchildren living in a world that feels fundamentally in sync with them. For most of human history, you could argue we've lived out of sync. Our tools, our social structures, often lagging behind or clashing with our own biological and cognitive rhythms.
But with AI,
With AI deeply integrated, perhaps our environment could synchronize almost seamlessly with our inner states, responding fluidly to our moods, our focus, our needs in real time.
so it's not just about convenience, like the lights turning on when you walk in. It's about a deeper alignment, an environment that feels intrinsically resonant with our human experience.
That's the vision, a potential future where the world doesn't just react to us, but resonates with us, leading to a kind of harmony and interconnected rhythm we haven't really experienced before.
A future, perhaps, where more research is closed than left unfinished, where humanity, in a sense, ends its long solitude by having this other intelligence to converse with daily.
It's a profound shift to contemplate.
So wrapping this up, we've journeyed through some huge possibilities today. AI is this potential unifier of sciences.
As a relentless finisher, tackling humanity's grand, unfinished projects.
And maybe even as a catalyst for a fundamental shift in how we perceive time, space, and reality itself.
Yeah, just like our galaxy is drawn toward the Great Attractor, maybe humanity is being drawn into a future where interacting with another form of intelligence is just normal, part of daily life.
It took us, what, 100,000 years as Homo sapiens to really develop complex language and find companionship beyond our immediate survival needs?
And now, potentially, partnering with AI could accelerate closing those knowledge gaps, finishing those symphonies.
It really circles back to that idea you mentioned earlier. Maybe the goal isn't predicting the future, but in some sense dissolving it.
Not just mapping knowledge linearly, but living inside its multidimensional resonance.
And as we think about all that AI might offer, all that we stand to gain, it's also worth pausing to consider what we might be letting go of, what might be lost in this transition.
It makes me think of that line from Elizabeth Bishop's poem, One Art.
The art of losing isn't hard to master.
So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost, that their loss is no disaster.
A powerful thought. What does that mean for us on this journey with AI? What are we truly gaining? And perhaps what are we learning to lose or let go of as we move towards this potentially synchronized, resonant future? Something to definitely keep thinking about.